Hey, this is Dead Gamer. Just decided to make a little video because I was on the Games Workshop website today and noticed the new Rogue Trader stuff. They're talking about it, that it's going to be pre-released in on the 8th, I believe it is. So it'll be coming out middle of the month, which got me thinking about the new Orks, which are coming in October. And I played Orks for a while. I like the Orks. I was never like majorly into the Orks, mainly because, well, I guess it's kind of strange. So I love Gorkamorka. That's something I've always played. But as Orks as an army, as a 40k army, I dabbled in, but wasn't too interested in it just because when I got into different armies, back in 2nd edition, I played pretty much Genestealer cults, and then when they sort of rolled into 3rd edition, I was in college and I stopped playing for a little bit. I came back into the game and took about a 3-year hiatus and came back, and a lot changed. You know, we had the Dark Eldar and the new Plastic Space Marine kit. Also, the whole background and everything for 40k got a lot darker, and which is fine. But also with that, the Orks got kind of boring, and Orks used to be. We had a player that back in high school, he played Orks, and he had all the different factions within the Ork. I don't know, whatever the word I'm looking for is, but it was he had the Evil Sons, the Bad Moons, the Goths, and he had little war bands of each one, the Death Skulls, and it was cool. It was cool to see that on the table because it was just this giant color blob assaulting you. And when 3rd edition came out, they really kind of made them boring. They just were like, okay, all boys are boys. I know that they had like, oh, well, you can paint them blue and you can do this and make them look like they're part of this. But they really kind of got away, in my opinion, of the characterfulness, if that's, if that makes sense. All the different character that the army had, because it had these different tribes. And in a WoW, everybody gets together and fights together. But it just felt like they were just kind of getting rid of all that. And I think that they did for a while. I think 3rd edition was sort of them simplifying the game vastly, and also simplifying the ranges. I know that they had done, obviously they had new Space Marine ranges, the Black Templars were pushed in that edition, and, you know, so on and so forth. But, you know, I think for a lot of the stuff, they just kind of like they've no mention of the Genestealer cults. You know, they got rid of a lot of stuff. Adeptus Arbites went away. I can keep going if I just sit here and think. I wasn't really thinking about talking about that particular thing, but with the Orks, they just kind of made them all Orks. And that made me sad because Orks have a lot of great character. And I guess what I'm hoping for, we're currently on September 2nd? Yeah, September 2nd, Sunday. Day before Labor Day, and I'm just thinking about the future. Woo! And I'm thinking about what the Orks are going to be like coming up. And I think that, I hope, if it's anything like, you know, they put out the Freebooters set a while ago, which is, if you don't know what they are, they're the Ork Pirates. They had a Freebooter set. It came with big guns, and not all Freebooters are big gun-toting dudes, but the unit itself, where the Games Workshop sells, is a box of, you know, heavy-toting gun guys. Ork Pirates, though, which is rad. And I'm hoping that the range, when it comes back out, is a lot more similar to how they were in 2nd edition. And there's a lot more character. And I think that that could be pretty easily achieved with just different sprues. You know how they're doing these Primaris guys, and then they're doing like a Blood Angel sprue, to make them Blood Angel-y, and they're doing a Space Wolf sprue to make them Space Wolfy. It wouldn't be, I don't think it's too much to ask at this point, because Games Workshop is killing it with you know, building their new facility, and they're just going to be, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more stuff. I mean, like Rogue Trader is a perfect example of them kind of go, or Gene Stealer cults. They went back and they were like, hey, we need to produce more stuff that's not just the same stuff. And they're drawing from the past. Will squats come back? I do not know. I don't know the whole copyright thing on squats, but it wouldn't put it past me. They had a squat in Necromunda for Forge World, so they definitely, you know, have done the model. So maybe we'll see squats come back. Maybe we'll see an Adeptus Arbites army. You know, it'll probably start off in Kill Team as a unit, because Kill Team's small and Adeptus Arbites aren't. I've never seen an Adeptus. Well, actually, I saw there was a White Dwarf where a guy did an Adeptus Arbites army. It was pretty awesome. It was like 190 something. It was back in the day, but yeah, it was a cool little force. But yeah, it would just be cool to see the Orks have a lot of variety and not be so boring, because the Orks are not a boring race. And I, for a long time, it felt like, you know, the 3rd edition moving forward, Orks have been pretty boring. And you know, when they came out with the freebooters, that made me happy. And I think that there's good possibility we're going to see that, because, you know, you also have your Space Marine players where they're like, oh, I just do Dark Angels, I just do Blood Angels. Well, they're essentially buying the same models. They've got little different sprues here and there. And I know that they did like a actual Space Wolf box set of Marines and an actual Blood Angel box set of Marines, probably because those were their top sellers, their top painted army or top sought after armies. I don't know how they do that, but I could definitely see them doing Ork cults, you know, like just all freebooters, you know, and all. It would just be awesome. And I hope they bring back the Minders. And then so the Minders were guys that like took care of the Weird Boy. And there's 2 old models that were really cool. There were 2 Minders carrying a Weird Boy on their shoulders between the 2 Minders. And then there was another one where 2 Minders were holding the Weird Boy like a gun, shooting him, which was some of the best models I've ever thought the Orks had. Those things were awesome. And yeah, so that's it. I'm just kind of thinking about it, and I saw, you know, this Rogue Trader stuff online, and I'm looking at, you know, it's going to be a cool game. But they're definitely, I am a little depressed, because they do mention in the Rogue Trader article that the bad guys are Nurgle aligned, and I was kind of hoping they weren't. I talked about it in another video where it would have been nice if they just did mutants. And, you know, mutants don't necessarily need to be chaos. And it would have been cool. I know that they're mutated by the warp, which in essence is chaos, but I don't know. We can debate all that, but it's like, can't you just have mutants, like humans that mutated and then felt like society shunned them and now they're pissed, you know? Or they could even just be like animalistic, angry mutants, but they don't need to be aligned to chaos. So when they mentioned they were I mean, I kind of had a sneaking suspicion, because they had those Nurgling-y looking things on that one trailer video, and they just weren't quite Nurgle-y enough where I was like, oh, I'm hoping that these aren't Nurgle related. Not that I don't like Nurgle, I love Nurgle, Nurgle's cool, but it just made me sad. I was just like, shit, can't we just get some mutants, you know? So in Orktober, for instance, you had the muties, and they were like mutated people that were on that planet before the Orks got there, or maybe they mutated when the Orks crashed. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I read the lore on Orktober. But you know, you had the Unks and the Jezzail guys, and or whatever, the Unks and the Seekers. Rolling back the clock. Anyway, so yeah, that's maybe one day we'll get our mutants that aren't necessarily chaotic. You know, they could be, I guess, allied with chaos because society and Space Marines see them as evil, but why do they have to be necessarily evil? You know, for evil's sake. So that made me sad. It would have been cool to just have like mutants, you know. But the future is bright for Games Workshop for sure. And that's it. I just sort of rolled this Orktober thing into a bunch of other random talkings about stuff, but it's gonna be a short video, and that's it. I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming out. So I think we're probably gonna start seeing stuff in the next 2 weeks. You know, it's gonna be awesome, and I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks for watching, guys.